Are we good? Are we excited? Woo! All right. I am so excited to be here, especially in a room full of people that love retail and love fashion. I could not be in a room with people that I can understand and get along with better than right here today. So this is truly exciting for me to be here. You know, when I was a little girl, I grew up in a town, very fashionable community of Kenosha, Wisconsin. And I had this amazing, literally, farmers and coal miners are my family, and here I am in fashion today. But I had an aunt, and she was fashion director of a department store. And she would go to all the shows in Milan and Paris, and she would come back with the slides, and we'd go to our basement, and you know those little clickers, you click, and you click. This is, you know, some of you are very young, and you're probably like, what is she talking about? But it was a turnstile, you clicked it, you could see the slides. And we would look at the shows, Donna Karan, Carolina Herrera, Oscar de la Renta. And at 7 years old, I would sit there, mouth dropped, and I saw the magic of fashion. Here I was in a basement in Kenosha, Wisconsin, in a blue-collar community, but this was magical. I could be transformed, this little girl from Kenosha, Wisconsin, into a fashionista by just what I wore. It was magical. And since that day with my aunt, she started teaching me how to trend forecast. And she'd say, Kendra, what do you keep seeing? Now we're talking, this is the 80s. I'd be like, shoulder pads, plaid and ruffles? And she would say, yes, my job as fashion director is to take these trends and to make them for the everyday woman, that she can get this fabulous couture and feel the magic that you're seeing for her everyday life. So here I am, 7, being taught how to trend forecast. And from that day forward, I was sketching everything from clothing to handbags to shoes. My dream was to be a fashion designer. And I remember going to my very practical father and saying, Daddy, I want to go to FIT. He goes, what is that? I said, it's this fashion institute. It's in New York City. He's like, oh, honey, people don't grow up to become designers. That's not like a real thing, honey. You could be a wonderful assistant someday if you really study hard. Now, he's a wonderful man, but he was worried about his daughter, right? He was very practical. But I was like, okay. He's like, go to school for business and marketing. And I did. And let me tell you, I had the fashion bug. All I wanted to do was fashion. So at 19 years old, being in school, I decided, hey, I'm going to start my own business. And there I did, the Hat Box. I loved hats. I still love hats. I loved hats. And here I was, 19, an idealist. I am going to open a retail store. I don't know anything about what I'm doing. I'm going to open the Hat Box stores across the country. I'm going to have 500 Hat Box stores. Everywhere you go, you're going to see a Hat Box. Have you guys seen a Hat Box? No. Great idea, but it didn't work out. But I started this because of one man. His name was Rob Ricks. This man was my stepfather, and a brilliant man, a 2-tour Vietnam veteran. He spoke 5 languages fluently. I mean, I'm talking genius. But he was passionate. He had a heart of gold. And at 47 years old, he was diagnosed with brain cancer. Everything in my world at that moment changed. What was important to me changed. And all I wanted to do was save the man that I loved so much. But we couldn't. And during that time, I visited so many women at MD Anderson Cancer Clinic in Houston who were losing their hair and really going through a lot of personal loss. And remember, I loved hats. And that's what inspired the Hat Box. I thought if I could create beautiful headwear that was comfortable for women undergoing chemotherapy, if I could use my love of fashion and do something good at the same time, that would be success. When I opened the Hat Box, Rob was in the last year of his life. And I remember a man who would run 9 miles every morning, spoke these 5 languages beautifully, was resorted to being pushed in a wheelchair into my store. He could barely speak at that time. He knew what was going on around him, but he had trouble putting together just a few words. I'll never forget that day because I wheeled him in the Hat Box, and he was so proud and literally just beaming and tears in his eyes. And he was trying very desperately to say something to me. And I said, Rob, don't worry. You don't have to say a thing. I know how you feel. And he was adamant. I mean, you got to remember, he was a Vietnam guy. You don't mess with him. He was a Marine. And he was going to tell me what he wanted to say. And I knelt down beside him, and he looked me in the face, and he had 3 words he was able to get out. And they were, you do good. 3 very simple words that I have taken with me every day of my life. I have them in my desk drawer. I have them inside my wallet. 3 words that were the foundation of what I wanted to do as a woman, as a person, to be able to use our gifts to do something good. He saw that I was doing what I love, but I was doing it and helping other people. I couldn't save Rob, but I could do good. So here we are, no hat boxes. 5 long years, working 7 days a week. I couldn't hire people. I mean, why are we in retail? This is awful. I was like miserable. I missed every holiday. I had no social life. I was eating pinto beans and rice. I hate top ramen. I ate so much top ramen, I can't even tell you. It was like 65 cents. It's the cheapest thing you can eat. I sold my car. I mean, everything I had put into this hat box that was going to be this multi-chain retail establishment. And guess what? It failed. I failed. I had lost my stepfather. I had lost my life savings. I lost everything. And I remember the last day of that, I had to close my store. And I had one of those signs. You know those signs? It's old school, but it said, yes, we're open on one side, and then the other side, you'd flip it, and it would say, sorry, we're closed. People still use these. You guys may have seen them. It's not super common anymore, but back in the day, it was really a popular thing. Anyway, I had one of those, and I remember turning it and sitting on the step of my store. And of course, it started to rain. Like some kind of sick joke, it started to rain. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, are you got to be kidding me? And I'm crying, and I'm feeling sorry for myself, and I'm such a loser, and I'm going to have to move in with my mom. And all of a sudden, the sign, now let me tell you, it was on the inside of the door. I hear a thump. It turned over. I cannot make this up. I turn around, and I look, and it says, yes, we're open. And I'm like, oh, what? It was a literal sign, people. It was a sign that flipped itself over, and it was like speaking to me. And I'm like, okay, Rob, I think you might be talking to me. But all of a sudden, it raised a question for me. How do we stay open? When life comes at you with the worst possible things, how do we stay open to the possibilities of a bright future? How do we look for that open window? And how do we realize that these things that we're going through, these hard, awful things, are actually a gift? You guys might think this sounds crazy, but that store was the greatest gift I was ever given. I got a master's in the School of Hard Knocks. I learned everything you should not do in retail. And I knew that there was something bigger waiting for me. And if I could figure out why I spent those 5 years living on top ramen, maybe there was something better for me. But fear was holding me back. I was never, ever going to be in retail again. Never. I'm obviously at the retail conference. So never say never. So after a few years, I decided to try again. But this time I wasn't going to go into retail. I knew better. I knew about the overheads and the rents and the 7 days a week and never being able to close. No way, Jose, was I going back into retail. So I was going to go into wholesale, design, manufacturing, because that's easy. Boy, was I wrong. But I was going to do that. No more retail. So here I am, pregnant and put on bed rest. I love fashion, and I love jewelry. Because jewelry, when you're pregnant, as you know, always fits. So when you can't buy your clothes that you want, ladies, you know, jewelry, handbags, shoes. We go crazy when we're pregnant. I love jewelry, but I couldn't find jewelry that I wanted. I wanted beautiful semi-cut stones. I wanted handcrafted jewelry, but it was so out of my reach. $350 for a pair of earrings was something that I couldn't figure out. But everything that I could afford would just break the first or second time I wore it. I found white space in a very big market. If I could create beautiful, handcrafted, quality jewelry at an attainable price point in gorgeous color, I think I could do something special. And in my bed, on bed rest, Kendra Scott Jewelry was created. My first collection, I put it in a tea box, and I put my son in a baby Bjorn. He was 3 months old. It was right after 9/11. He was born 11/11, 3 months later. The world was a very scary place. And with $500, I made that first collection. I'll never forget because our mortgage at the time was $1,100 a month. It was a lot of money for my family. It was a very uncertain time, but I believed in this. And I put him in that baby Bjorn, and I put my jewelry in a tea box, and I went store to store in Austin, Texas. And I always say, I don't know if they loved the jewelry or if they just really felt sorry for me, but either way, they bought it. They gave me a chance. And I wrote orders that day, and the last store I went to, I had to sell all of my samples so that I would have enough money to produce the orders that I had written that day. That is how Kendra Scott Jewelry got started 13 years ago. For 7 years, I was just going through, just selling wholesale, because remember, I was so fearful of retail. That hat box had left a scar on me. It had left a big, scary scar. And you know what it took to get me to realize that I needed to change? Another really scary event, the recession. What a wonderful gift that recession was. Didn't you guys all just love it so much? It makes me just warm and fuzzy thinking about it. But truly, these buyers I had worked with, you know, a lot of you in fashion, they started getting laid off. Stores that we had worked with for years were shuttering. I mean, every day I was coming to work and it was like, now what? What is going to happen? Friends of mine were losing their lines of credit and even going under. It was just terrifying. All of my eggs were in one basket. And the wholesale, all of my retailers, they had the power. And they had the power to take my company away. And that wonderful gift of the recession finally made me realize I couldn't be scared anymore. I had to give up my fear. I needed to talk to my customer, and I couldn't let anyone else do it for me anymore. And that meant getting out of showrooms and not letting reps talk for me anymore, and it meant me opening retail again. And here we go. All these years later, 2010, I had started in 2003 with Kendra Scott Jewelry. 7 years later, I had the courage, finally, to open my first retail store in my hometown of Austin, Texas. I will never forget that because there was this time in our company, there were 7 of us. And that day I said, look, we're gonna go big or we're gonna go home. I'm putting all my chips on the table. But from this day forward, no one will ever speak for us again. We will talk to our customer. We will engage with them. We will find out what they love, what they hate, what they want more of. We will connect with them on a real personal level. If we want to be a brand that is going to stand the test of time, we can never let anyone ever talk for us again. And in retail, you have the power to connect with your customer in such a unique and special and amazing way. I love to be in the store. Our corporate headquarters, you have to walk through our flagship store to get upstairs to our offices. If you're in accounting, if you're in IT, I don't care. I want you to walk through and experience our customer. I want you to meet them. I want you to see the energy in the store. When you're in our corporate headquarters, you can hear what's happening in the store below us. And it's constant laughter. It's a party every day, all day in a Kendra Scott store. We create reasons for people to come in. I will never again, from this hat box experience, just open the sign. Yes, we're open, and wait. Are you coming? No, you can't do it in retail anymore. You've got to create reasons for people to come in. Our company has done a phenomenal job in connecting with our customers. They are our biggest brand ambassadors, and they shop in our stores through the events that we do. In 1 week alone, we do about 120 events, 120 company-wide. That's extraordinary. I've invested in our teams. Every single store has an event coordinator and a community outreach coordinator who are getting in at a very local level. It's not just about making beautiful stores. I love the design part of the store. I design every single store. The paint on the wall is in my dining room. The handles are from a 1950s étagère that I have in my bathroom. I believe that everything that a customer touches, you should be involved in. A beautiful store is important. A store that is easy to navigate through, that is friendly to moms with strollers. All of those details are critically important. But you've got to create a soul. You can be in the best location, the most gorgeous interior, but if you don't have the people and you don't create reasons for your customers to come in and give them an experience, this beautiful store will stay empty. Reasons like engagement. How do you get them involved in your products in a real, tangible way? I created something called Color Bar. Our girls in our design studio used to have all of the colors of our stones, and they would set a pair of earrings the night they were going to go out on a hot date to match their outfit with the colors that matched what they were wearing. And I thought, if I could bring what my designers get to do to every woman, how cool would that be? Color Bar was created. And in our stores, you can go up and create a custom piece of jewelry, pick the colors you want. All of our girls are trained setters, and they can set it right there for you. You leave in a matter of moments with a custom piece of jewelry. The Color Bar has become a place for events, from brides to her bridesmaids, having literally the morning of a wedding. I don't know how many things the brides know. It takes like 9 months to get anything in the bridal world. They can get something in 9 minutes at Kendra Scott. You can walk in and have cupcakes, champagne, and sit down and have a whole wedding party, walk out with their bridal jewelry, and walk down the aisle that afternoon. Talk about instant gratification. I'm a girl who likes to get something and go. I don't want to wait. Online, you can do Color Bar, and so the experience from a digital and in brick and mortar has to match up. So if you go to our web store right now and you go to Color Bar, you can design a piece of jewelry, and it can be on your doorstep by tomorrow morning. We set everything in our production office in Austin, Texas, and we ship all over the world. So literally, in one day, you can get something custom. It's innovation. It's being interactive and engaging your customer in something that they feel that they're a part of. I love to be involved in every aspect, and I think in retail, and I own a hard hat with my name on it. I love it. I love picking out the sites. I sit and watch customers. Who's shopping? What are they eating? Who are they wearing? I go to different day parts when I'm selecting where we're going to put our retail stores to really look at what's happening in the center. Are there moms coming at certain times? What activities are they doing? What are the restaurant traffic look like nearby? I think it's so critical to take that time. Take the time to really look and see, is my customer here? Is she going to be shopping here? It's not just about, we do so much per square foot in this center. It's about, is your customer in that center, and how can you engage with them on a real level? Engagement for us is critical. We do something at Kendra Scott that I think is unheard of in how we do events. We have an events corporate team that works with everybody from national organizations like Susan G. Komen to a hometown crisis to a friend in need. Whoever you are, whatever you need, we always have something to give. From the little 10 by 10 room I started in 13 years ago, I said if somebody would call and they would need something for a charity or a silent auction, that I would always have something to give. I could make a pair of earrings, I could make a necklace. I was never, ever going to say no. People thought that was crazy, but I did it. And for 13 years, or 7 years, I went about doing this. And when I opened my first retail, not ever expecting to open retail, there was a line around the block. And I was like, who are all these people? Why are they here? And I went out, and one after another came up to me and said, Kendra, for 7 years, you have never said no to our organization. We are so brand loyal. We appreciate what you have done for our community so much, and we are so thrilled to support your store. One after another after another. It was right there in living proof, the power that good things happen to good people. When you give, you receive so much more in return. So for us to give back on a real level was important to me. In the communities we go into, we want to be a local brand. And in order to do that, that means the cheerleader who's trying to get to camp, if we can help her, how wonderful. And if it is a national campaign, like Susan G. Komen, breast awareness, like we're doing right now, we'll do that as well. But I think what has been so powerful is that the brand loyalty that we've been able to achieve through doing these special events has really set us apart and really has continued to build that customer loyalty that you just can't buy. Every night of the week, if you walk into a Kendra Scott store, there's always champagne, so if you're thirsty, come on in. There's always cupcakes. We're from the South. All cupcakes work for everything, by the way. If you ever need anyone to bribe, use a cupcake. But we do, and it's exciting because whether it's a color bar party, a bridal event, a Kendra Gives Back event, a girls' night out, which happens every Wednesday night, again, both in the store and on the web, you'll get to see that continuity. People on social media are waiting to find out what our girls' night out special is going to be on Wednesdays. They're just as engaged, even if they don't have a store in their community. And that engagement gets them excited because when we do open a store, they've already known about girls' night out. Now they get to experience it in real life. We currently have, at the end of this year, we'll have 39 Kendra Scott standalone stores. All those little yellow states are filling up there. Next year, we'll be opening 15 to 20 new locations. We started in Texas, out of Austin, and we're kind of mushrooming out and really, again, going to where our customer is. Using data of where they're coming from the website, through social media, they tell us. We ask them, where should we go? They don't just tell us, hey, come to New Orleans. They tell us what street, what block, what center, where we should go. Your customers are such a wealth of information and knowledge, and they're such a great source. Ask your customers, what do you love? What do you want? Where do you want us to go? And I promise you, they will tell you. Kendra Scott is a fashion lifestyle brand of big dreams, colorful confidence, and inspired design. Founded on family, fashion, and philanthropy, we believe that our employees and our customers are the heart and soul of our brand, and that giving back is the truest form of success. I love my team. We have very, very, very low turnover at Kendra Scott. And in retail, you guys are sitting here, we all know that is a very rare thing. We have an unbelievable team of like-minded people. Our core values are so critical, and I think as every brand, identifying what your core values are. Experience in people is important, but you need people that share the core values of your brand, of your company. For me, family, fashion, philanthropy are our core. We find women and men with that like-minded heart and spirit and passion for what they do. In some of our stores, it's almost like a casting call. We'll have 50, 100 girls coming out to apply for a position at Kendra Scott. They want to be part of this Kendra Scott family. They see what we're doing within our company, how we value our employees, and how we want them to make their dreams come true. I don't just ask them about their experience. I want to know, more importantly, where do you want to go? What is your dream 3, 4, 5 years from now? Where do you see yourself? Because my job is to help that girl get there. And when she knows that I care about not what she did yesterday, but where she's going tomorrow, she becomes vested and excited and passionate and loyal. Of course, fashion is everything. I sit here today and I think about the girl in the basement in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And I'm sitting up here with a Women's Wear Daily sign behind me. The Bible of fashion. How did that happen? I love what I do. I literally am a little girl who grew up, the little boy who says, I want to be a fireman when I grow up. I want to be a designer when I grow up. I get to do that. And it's amazing. It's amazing. And philanthropy. That is such a big part of who we are. And I think what's important for brands is to find something that's authentic to your brand. It can't be lip service. It has to be real. It has to be genuine. And once you have that, it's amazing. you can be a very successful company. You can grow at a very high growth rate. You can do what you love, and you can make a difference. And our company has done that, and I am the most proud of that. When I am 80 and I'm sitting on my rocker looking back at my life, I'll be thrilled that I got to do what I loved and built this business and opened these stores, but I will be the most proud of what we have done in the communities that we have built our stores in. That's a Kendra Scott store. They're so pretty, aren't they? We hope that, I don't know no matter where you are, I'm going to be in New York someday. Now, the seaport thing, I got to talk to somebody about this. I'm all excited now. Someday, we're getting closer. We have 4 stores in Washington, D.C. If you're ever anywhere where a Kendra Scott store is, I would love for you to come in. I would love to share with you the excitement of what we're doing. And last, I want to leave you with the 3 words. I think all of us, as human beings, have the ability to leave our own unique fingerprint. For some reason, we all have one on this world, and to do good. And if we can do that in fashion and in retail, and really attract the consumer who's coming in to see that, yes, you can have a successful business in retail and do good, we all have a lot to be very, very proud of. Thank you so much. Questions? We have questions? Time for questions? You can ask me anything, really. I mean, almost anything.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you attract and retain talent? You talked about it a little bit, but just a little bit more because it is such a challenge for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's really important to kind of build that team environment. Especially in retail, when a customer walks in, for me, I want them embraced with a warm hug. Right? And I think with our team, we've really tried to create a family. And so even through, doing how we compensate, we don't believe in single commission. We believe in a group commission structure. We want everybody working as a team. We have an incredible bonus structure in place as a company and as a store. So as you hit your targets, and I think everyone gets super excited, but it's that communication of, what do you want? Are you happy? Where do you want to go? And when our girls say, Kendra, I want to be a DMM someday, okay, how do we get you there? Or I'd love to work in marketing. What do I have to do to get to be that someday? And we'll help them with that path. And it's those kind of conversations and care that make people so loyal to want to stay with your brand. Yeah.
I know you said you're focused on retail, but how do you engage your consumers at the wholesalers where you do sell?
Yeah, and please, I love my wholesale. I love them so much, and they helped us build our brand, truly. But again, it's that communication. I spend time doing trainings. I was just in Bloomingdale's a few days ago. I did a breakfast training with the sales associates. They're your front line. They are you. They are your voice. So to make sure that they're excited about your brand, that they understand your brand, you cannot overtrain. You cannot ever overtrain. Giving them information about the collection, sharing with them why I was inspired about certain things. They become attached and loyal, and they share that with the customers coming in. That excitement transfers. So I think it's really important to realize that what you put into something is what you will get out of it. And to take the time to really go in there and work with them and get the front line excited about what they're selling.
Hi. First, I loved your introduction. You're so passionate, you're very driven, and I can see why you have a successful business when you speak like that.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're obviously on a big growth plan at the moment. What worries you, and what's not working for you at the moment?
When you have responsibility now, I told you in 2010 there were 7 of us. We're 580 of us right now. And so as any CEO or owner of a business, that's 580 families, right, that you're responsible for. So my job every day is how do I make sure that we continue to build a sustainable business, that continue to grow. And that's what I always worry about. But biggest for me is keeping our culture. this small hometown culture that we've created in Austin, Texas, this family environment. When you get big, how do you keep that? And I think for me, that's my biggest challenge, is continuing to hire people that share our core values, and to remind myself that no matter how big we get, do not forget where you came from. Don't forget your core. Don't forget the day on the step with the pouring rain. You have to build your business based on those things and continue to reflect on them. I think as entrepreneurs, sometimes as we get big, we start to kind of lose sight of why what we did in the very beginning. And I think for me, that's the thing I always try to go back and grasp. As we get bigger, I can't be everywhere. And I think that is a challenge, because I'm like one human being. I sometimes joke, like, I should have named the company, I don't know, Jazzy Jewels or something, not Kendra Scott, because I can't be everywhere. But that would never have worked. Nobody would have bought Jazzy Jewels, clearly. But bad name. But anyway, but no, that's been the challenge, because if you haven't picked up on it, I really have a lot of energy. I want to be everywhere, but I am a mom of 3 boys. I have a teen and a toddler in the same house. And so I go and I try to conquer and see my teams, train, meet my folks, and get back to being a mom. On my job title, it said designer, CEO, philanthropist. The biggest one is I'm also a mother. And so I think for me, it's the balance. Doing it all and doing it all well, and not letting anybody down in the process.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.